Hello everybody, my name is Kiera, aka Kiera's Bookshelf, and welcome to my channel. I am so excited to film this week's video for you guys today because I am going to be talking to you guys about all of the books that I want to read in 2026. I will definitely warn you guys that this is a very ambitious TBR, and I don't necessarily expect to finish all of these books, but if I can finish at least half of them, then I will feel accomplished. So the first two books that I want to read in 2026 are How to Survive Your Murder and Two Sides to Every Murder. I have really wanted to jump into these books for a while. I feel like I'm really going to enjoy these. I have been craving thrillers so much lately, and I feel like these books will be really good palate cleansers for whenever I get bored or overwhelmed by all of the world building that fantasy has. The next book that I want to read is They'll Never Catch Us. And while the first two books that I showed you looked like they had a very happy Death Day killer vibe to them, this one kind of gives me kidnapping vibes. I also want to mention that I'm going into a lot of these books blind. I just feel like I will enjoy them more when I don't know what the plot is, and I actually think it is really fun to guess. The next two books that I want to read are The Stolen Heir and The Prisoner's Throne by Holly Black. If you are a fan of the Cruel Prince series, then you would know that this is a spin-off. And one thing about me is I am a huge fantasy lover, but I also love fantasy books that have fae in them, especially Holly Black's version of fae, because I like how mean they are. I feel like the way Holly Black writes fae is exactly how I would picture them to be, where they are attractive, but they definitely use that to their advantage. So I'm interested to see what this duology will entail. The next two books that I want to read is another duology, and that is Heartless Hunter and Rebel Witch. I heard that this is a witch and witch hunter enemies to lovers story. Anything with enemies to lovers has me sold. It is my favorite trope with fantasy books. So I'm really interested to see where the story goes with these two books, especially because, like I said, it is a duology. I don't really read a lot of duologies, so I'm interested to see how these two books can wrap up a story. And I like that on the front of Heartless Hunter it says her deadliest enemy or her greatest love. So that tells me that I am going to be in a bit of a ride for this series, and I am so excited. Now, the next three books is actually in a series that I am currently in the middle of, and that is Empire of Storms, Tower of Dawn, and Kingdom of Ash, which is a part of the Throne of Glass series. I started the Throne of Glass series maybe a couple of months ago, and I really loved these books, but I found that they were a lot more immersive when I wasn't vlogging them, so I'm definitely going to continue that going into 2026. And because these books are in the middle of a story, I definitely won't say too much, but I will say that I really like where the story is going. I'm a little scared of the tandem read, so I don't think I'm going to do it. As far as Kingdom of Ash, it is about 1,000 pages, and that definitely scares me. The next book that I want to read is Onyx Storm. I literally had this book for so long, and I have been putting it off just because I've been seeing a lot of mixed reviews on it. I definitely think because it has taken me a while to read this book that I might have to watch a couple recaps of Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. I do love the dragons in this book. I honestly feel like dragons are my favorite fantasy characters. I am so excited to read this book, but I don't know why, but I find that I'm really scared. I just love all of the characters in this book so much, and I feel like this is going to be a really high stakes book in the story. I'm not really sure how many books the series is going to have, but I just really hope that my favorite characters don't die. Now, this next book that I'm going to show you guys is one that I have been putting off for so long, and frankly, I'm getting tired of it, and that is Priory of the Orange Tree. I think it's not necessarily the plot of the story that is stopping me from reading this book, because it has everything that I love. It has high fantasy, it has dragons, it has romance, but for some reason, the length of this book is really stopping me. At one point, I tried to read A Day of Fallen Night, and I found that it was really dense and hard to read, and then I realized I probably should start with Priory. I think the best thing for me to do is read it little by little. I literally made daily goals in this book to pretty much help me break everything down, so I hope that that will help me to not be so overwhelmed by the length of this. And the next book that I want to read is another chunky book. I believe this book is 1,000 pages, and that is Alchemized. Now, if you have read Manacled, or you are a fan of the Dramini community, then you might have heard of Manacled and Alchemized. So Alchemized is the traditionally published version of Manacled, but it has completely different character names, a few different storylines, of course, so it doesn't necessarily match the original Harry Potter plot. But I'm really interested in this book. I heard that it is a dark fantasy, and I definitely do not have a lot of books that have to do with that. This is a book that has to do with war. I've heard from other people that my heart is literally going to get ripped out of my chest when I read this book, and honestly, I need to find out for myself. So the next series that I want to read in 2026 is The Mortal Instrument, and oh my gosh, I know that this is like a really big series in the book community. A lot of people love Cassandra Clare, and I pretty much just want to see what the hype is about. I know there's also a TV show about the series, but I've been holding off on watching it because I literally don't know what happens in the books. I really like the premise that they fight demons. I don't really see that a lot in fantasy books. Maybe there are books like that I just haven't been checking out, but it is really intriguing to me. And then, of course, after I read The Mortal Instruments, I have to jump into the Infernal Devices. One thing that I do know about the Shadowhunter universe is that every single trilogy or series that's in this universe takes place in a different time. So I believe The Mortal Instruments is modern day, and then I heard that these books actually go back. I'm not really sure, don't quote me, but I do believe I heard something about like the 1700s or the 1800s. And then the last three books that I want to read in 2026 is The Dark Artifices. I heard that it is so epic. These books are literally so big, but they fascinate me so much. So this has been my 2026 TBR video. I really hope that you guys have enjoyed this as much as I enjoyed filming it. As you can see, I have a lot planned for 2026, so please be on the lookout for these reading vlogs on my channel. If you have read any of these books or you plan to, then definitely leave a comment. So with that, I will let you guys go. Bye!